How do we conclude the Konodari that Boko Haram has largely been degraded, or is it a matter of semantics now? Degraded, defeated? How do we substantiate that?
Well, if you ask my opinion, what I'm going to say here is that, as far as I'm concerned, terrorism has come to stay. And all we have to do is to learn to live with this reality. And then what do? We must raise the bar of security consciousness in our community, starting from the kindergarten schools. Okay? Everybody must be prepared. That is the truth. And this comes with development in technology, in sophistication. So really, right among us, terrorists exist, just like in other advanced climes. And I think that is a challenge. So I don't want to go into, all the politics of whether terrorists have been degraded or, whatever manner of nomenclature you want to give to it. But as far as I'm concerned, they are living amongst us. So there's no territory. In the past, they raise their flags, or they have their flags planted, in some local governments, several local governments. But now we don't have such a situation now. Now they are right even amongst us, which makes it more dangerous. So that is why you and I must learn to be more security conscious as we speak.
Dr. Edoko, do you agree with him that terrorism has come to stay?
Well, I don't want to go that way because that's defeatist. So far, terrorism or the insurgency we experience is limited to a region, the Northeast. And I see no reason why we cannot defeat terrorism within that region.
Would you call herdsmen attacks?
Pardon?
Terrorism?
Well, nomenclatures here and there. That one is specific. It's not called terrorism because we know those who are causing it. So the herdsmen can be identified easily. Even though we speak about Boko Haram, most times they can't easily be identified. Imagine the case of Shekau. We were told in the media that the army was closing in on Shekau, and then the army was stopped. That was why they could not capture Shekau, and that Shekau still lives. Whereas in the past, we've been told by the same army that Shekau had been killed. Several times, we've been told that Shekau has been killed. Yet, we are told this day that Shekau is still alive. So what do we believe? What are we to believe? The point I need to make here is that let's not say that terrorism has come to live amongst us or has come to stay. Otherwise, government will not see it as a duty to fight. Government has the responsibility to defeat terrorism. It is even very recent in our situation. Terrorism has existed, for ages, but it's very recent, so we should stamp it out. That's my own proposition.
What do you think the role of the National Assembly will be in this case? Because the governor of Yobe State, Ibrahim Gaidam, categorically insisted that the abduction was preceded by the withdrawal of the troops and then safeguarding the troubled area. Those are two things that Governor Gaidam said. What do you think the Senate, or should I say the National Assembly, do in terms of unraveling what actually happened in Dapchi?
Well, I think the National Assembly can conduct a public hearing, for instance. It's one way to go. But when it comes to the issue of security, there are classified, cases that shouldn't be of a public, dimension. I should imagine that the aspect that is not core security can come before the public hearing. The parents of the girls have said that They were not part of the meeting held in the government house in Damaturu, whereas the government released a statement saying that they were part of it. So you can imagine this sort of thing. So how can a government issue statement and be contradicted? The army has issued a statement, the police have contradicted. So the public is left, with so much doubt. Nobody knows exactly what to believe. This is not a government, if you ask me. I'm sorry to say this.
Konodari, how would you suggest that an inquiry into this, how do you suggest that should take shape?
Well, I think, just like Dr. Idoku said, I think the National Assembly should step in here and then probably conduct a public hearing, okay? And as we speak, there are certain things really that, when it comes to security that you cannot, publicly discuss. But be that as it may, I think the issue at hand has gone beyond that, and the government must be very careful. They must exhibit some transparency, in the course of handling this matter. But above all, I think the military and the police should be guided, in the way and manner they go about the blame game. Yes, because normally, if the army is not supposed to just come in and stay put. If there is a situation, because this is an internal security situation for crying out loud.
Would you then agree that those army officers that were in their post at that point should be questioned? Should they be investigated, questioned, with a view to finding solutions to why they had to leave that post?
Yes, I think so. I think so. There should be an investigation, because looking at the number and the way this thing has happened, there must be some intelligence.
Okay,
it cannot be overnight.
We'll take a very short break and we'll be back to look further at how this is developing. Sunrise Daily will be back in just a moment. Join us again.